Jobs Opportunity and Businesses in Seaside. Dominique, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Coggins, Commissioner Tier, Commissioner Rodriguez, Commissioner Groves,
Present.
Commissioner Kamath,
Present.
and Chair Anderson. Vice Chair Groves, you do not have a quorum at this time. Any business items requiring action can be taken after a quorum has been established. Excuse me, which means 2 more members would need to appear.
Thank you, Dominique.
Welcome.
We'll now open public comment for non-agendized items. Dominique, do we have anyone from the public asking to speak?
We do not have any members of the public present at this time. However, Commissioner Coggin has arrived to the meeting, so you now only need 1 more member to have a quorum. Thank
you. Now we have 2 business items. The first is a presentation from Tom Wengler. Is that right, Tom?
Wengler. Yep, you got
Wengler,
it.
thank you. I get it right. Please proceed with your presentation.
Okay. And Trevin, would you like to maybe describe how you foresee your extended team utilizing HubSpot, and then I can back up your ideas with the demonstration?
Yeah, I think that's great, Tom. Thank you for that. Let me take a step back to the 30,000-foot view. We as the city, we operate, we try and expand gross domestic product. We have a tax base and we want to see that grow as much as possible because that's a proxy metric of how successful our businesses are doing. So we have a program that's business retention and expansion, and we do that in our economic development department. But we as a city also realize that economic development and supporting the business environment is everyone's job in the city. So everyone's trained on customer service. Everyone knows the drill and how to help small businesses succeed. And what we want to do here is we want to introduce our customer relationship management tool, the software and the system that helps city employees keep track of if we're able to meet our commitments with the small business community to our commissioners on C-Jobs. And the reason why we want to do that is because there's a lot of coordination that can take place here. So a lot of the commissioners, you're interested in working in that business retention and expansion field with the city. And so if you're ever getting ice cream, or if you're ever at a restaurant and you happen to talk to the owner and it comes up that you're a commissioner, and hey, you start talking about the city, they start talking about their expansion plans or how they have a problem with their sewer permit. We want to provide a convenient avenue for you to take notes on that business, or for you to write down a task that staff can follow up on for that business. And so that's why we've got Tom here. He's going to introduce the CRM. He's going to show you, if you would like to, how you can use the CRM and how you can get connected to our database of customers. So thank you, Tom.
Yep, very good. So you can see the CRM is up and display behind me. And so CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. And the customers in this case would be the business owners and executives at companies inside the city of Seaside. So if you'd like access to this, we'll simply give you a free license that allows you to do exactly what I'll show you here. So at the very top, these words represent the menu. So since we're dealing with people, contacts would seem to be an obvious choice, right? So when we click on contacts, this will show you all contacts in the database that the city is working with. And does anyone here own a company or a business by chance? Or if not, maybe a company that you work for. So what we would need to do is create a contact. So HubSpot's very simple. Always look for the orange button. You would hit create contact.
So CSU Monterey Bay.
Yeah, you can look up Sham. Sham's in there.
Okay. So if you were to, you can look up contacts in the system, or you can create a new one. So if we were to create a new contact, we would enter in their email address. What is the website for the college?
It's csumb.edu //COB.
So what I'll do is just put in csumb.edu in my email address,
Mhm.
and we'll just create a pretend contact here. So you might fill in the title and then the company name.
Mhm.
Pretty simple. And then type of contact. You know, you feel free to fill this out. Business owner would be a good choice, right?
Yep.
And then this right here, you know, does this person have a legitimate interest in working with us? Well, yeah, they're in the city, they're a customer. So now, and if you'd like to market to that person, we could set them as a marketing contact. But real simple, we're going to hit create the contact. And what HubSpot did, it created our contact record over here. And what you'll see is a profile. So we've got, and it thinks I'm Trevin. My phone number, I'd add the mobile phone. You can add a little bit more information here. Probably don't even need to do that. But off to the right under company, it created the company record based on that person's email address, because it knows that's my website address. So if we look here, there's your logo. You're in higher education. You have 5,000 employees. There's your annual revenue. You're on Campus Center Drive or Campus Center in Seaside. And there's your organization on LinkedIn.
Right.
So this information is pretty helpful, right? Because now you're building a database of all your local companies.
It is a database.
Yep. Now, it sounds like you might keep things really simple here. And so you could just, and you can do this from your mobile phone, by the way, too. There's a mobile app. So you could create a note. And on the mobile phone, you could actually just speak the notes into the note or from the speaker on your phone. So, you know, you would enter those notes. Problem with, I don't know, sewer.
Student success.
With too much success, yes. Whatever that note is. And then if you wanted to alert Trevin, you type in the @ symbol and Trevin. And he will get an alert that says, we've got a problem. They have too much success happening at the college. We've got to put a stop to this. But that right there is probably just enough of a trigger for Trevin and his team to take action on this.
You can also, Tom, sorry, you can also, there's a box that you can check called create a task.
Right.
And that way, in case it's a multi-step task or it's something that you really want to make sure gets our attention, it'll create a task. And maybe, Tom, you can talk about tasks and then forms next.
Yep, so you would just put in test task, and you can assign a due date.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a reminder go out before it's due. And you can assign that task to another person that's inside of the system.
Mm-hmm.
Or to yourself.
Yeah.
And it'll help you remember to follow up with that business on XYZ.
Yep. So you'll get an email reminder. But, you know, if you want to send that to somebody else, hey, Trevin, I promised this company or this or the college that they could have a homecoming parade tomorrow. I'm going to need to expedite those permits.
And you'll be marching at the head of the parade.
There you go. So yeah, you could hit that and Trevor will get an alert. Now, if there's a real problem, kind of like your car, right? You take it to the mechanic and what do? Well, they give you a ticket. So you could create a ticket and say, help the college with whatever that is. And you could just put your notes right in here.
Mm-hmm.
and say, this ticket is tied to this company. This is kind of a little more sophisticated, but that'll actually create like a little work ticket that Trevin will pick up on and go, oh, I know what to do now. And he can track the time, the effort, and even the results. Now, another thing a lot of communities do is they conduct what's called an annual business retention visit. If you were to do that, you could go to these companies and fill out a form. And you can do this from your phone as well. So we have the business walk form, which is what we created here. And you would enter in the name and the first and last name of the person you met with in the company, website, email. You'd give this ticket a little name, and you could even put in the college is looking for assistance with permitting applications and they have a need to expand. They want to add a physics department and they need a loan for a telescope.
Actually, they help with the business walk for the Monterey Peninsula Chamber. So, it falls into the business walk piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you could, if you were doing something like that and going business to business, you could simply save that form, which is really nothing more than a landing page. It's just a website page. Fill this out, pop it up on your phone, and fill this out, and off you go.
Yeah, so I want to reiterate that point. If you don't want to get into the technical detail of learning a new system, we could simply provide you that hyperlink and you could keep it as a note in your notes app on your phone. And then anytime you visited a business, you just click on that hyperlink and it brings up the form, and you'll still be able to submit and create tickets for city staff to be able to review and triage. So that is an option there, so that you got different levels of engagement, if you will, on whether or not you actually go full ante and jump into the CRM itself and start adding companies, or if you just want to take it slow and use the hyperlink, and we can set you up with that.
So just a question, is this available to us right after the meeting? Because then I'd jump into the main CRM platform.
It sure can be.
Perfect. Thank you.
So that's really it. I don't want to show you the entire system and all the nuances. It's just too much. But this right here is a very nice, clean, simple way for you to be out in the world, give some information that you've uncovered firsthand, pass it on to the employees of the city, and let them do their thing.
So Trevin, I would presume that you or Dominique would act as the intermediary for any mass contacts, because it should run through your office, correct? We shouldn't be emailing these businesses as much as possible, because it may lead to, so for example, the business walk. If the city of Seaside is participating in the larger business walk, we would then put it as a task for you to reach out to them about a change in, a route or something that Alan and Joy and I and Sharon have worked on. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'll give you a tangible real life example. So I was on the business walk and I was talking to one of the businesses, and he said, my neighbor, ever since the pandemic started, they can't host dining indoors, or it's very late. And so people have been sitting outside on the bench and then disposing of their lunch box that they get from the store, the pretty large packaging. And a lot of times they sell pizza, so it's a large pizza box. And so they said the public trash cans, they're not large enough for a pizza box. Is there anything, but then the pizza boxes end up just sitting on the sidewalk. Is there anything we can do to get a larger trash box. So I went into HubSpot and I created a task. You could create a ticket. I happened to create a task that just said larger pizza boxes and the name of the business. And then when I got back to the office, we have an employee that happens to go to that restaurant a lot. So I just asked them, hey, could you follow up on this and see if they can get a larger trash can? Or can you follow up with our vendor and see if our vendor for public trash cans happens to have a larger model that we could get next time we replace it? And so that's how that workflow, that pipeline, so to speak, kind of worked, is that I was out in the field, I was talking to the businesses, I was able to use the CRM to record my interaction with that business. And then when we got back to the office, we created a plan to follow up on that need.
Yeah, I understand that. I was just raising a larger point, which is that since the commissioners are going to be on HubSpot, that we should be routing any mass announcements, reach outs through your office if we are reaching out to a group of businesses. I understand the individual task. I think it's a good practice to have everything go through you, backed by Dominique.
Correct. Yeah. This CRM, its purpose is to give it to you so that you can input data.
Correct.
The commissioners, I want to be clear, should not be using it to contact businesses through the CRM.
Correct.
That would be not so good.
Correct. That's the point I was making.
Thank you.
Otherwise, you're going to have a real problem. Okay. So
Yeah.
Along that line, is there information on the CRM that we should treat as confidential? For example, all of it.
It's all firewalled right now. So we're going to have all of our business license data in the CRM. But it's going to be firewalled what you have access to. So right now, the city does use the CRM to keep track of all of our disposition and development agreements. And those deals do have a lot of sensitive information in it, but you would not have access to it. It would be firewalled where you have to have a security clearance. So I just have to adjust the user settings. And then it's broken down so that you can only see certain objects is what the CRM calls them. So contacts, companies, deals, tasks. There's only certain things that you'll be able to view. And what this does is it limits you to, you're just going to be able to view the companies so that if you're out meeting with them, you can update the notes, you could log that you had a meeting with them, and then you can generate a task or a ticket for staff to follow up on.
And we have, and the point to Alan's point, we have no direct contact with the business with whom we have sent you a task, correct?
I'm sorry,
so you've also firewalled a commissioner contacting a business and getting into a exchange with the business, correct?
No.
Yeah, you can use the system to look up one business. So if you really want to get in touch with a business about something that the city could help them with, you could use this to look up that business's contact info. It would be the same as looking up their business license on the city's website. So any information that is here is 99. It's
that's
public.
not the point I'm making. In terms of communicating with the business, I would expect again to go through you or Dominique.
It is not. So I see what you're saying. The CRM is not programmed at this time for you to click, call, or email.
Correct.
So yeah, it will not do that for you. You would have to dial in the number in your phone, or you would have to copy the email address and get it out of the system. You can't use the system to directly contact them.
Yeah, because my functionality at the university is different. Okay.
Yeah. So in this case, we would remove, you would only be able to communicate with actually nobody.
Yeah.
So you would not be allowed to through the CRM.
Correct.
Now you could send that business owner a text or an email from your phone.
Yes.
But it's the city wasn't involved. That was you.
Yeah. Correct. And that's a very important point, because you again do not want the lines of the wires to get tangled of communication. Okay.
Correct. And We also don't want accidentally the commissioners talking to each other on the CRM
Correct.
about policy-related issues. That would be a double whammy
Yeah.
of no.
Yeah, it'd be a violation of the Brown Act. So
Precisely.
yeah. Okay, very good. Really appreciate your getting us on HubSpot, because I think this will be a useful channel to provide you and your team, Trevin, feedback on the people we meet. I've met a number who I'd like to, at some point be in touch with you about their needs. Okay.
Very good.
Excellent.
Well, it's an honor to be here.
Thank you, Tom. And I hope Chattanooga is treating you well. Tennessee's a great place.
It is, but it's not as beautiful as what you've got out there, I must say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks,
Thank
Tom.
you.
Take care. Bye.
All right.
Well, it sounds like, Sham, you're interested. I know I am. And so I guess you're asking us, Trevin, if we want to pursue this with you, just let you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just let me know. Let me know what email address you want to use too, because I know a lot of people use different emails for different things. So yeah, let me know how you want to be involved. And if you just want the hyperlink to access the form that we showed you, that Tom showed you, that was just a draft generic form, but we can build that out with different fields as we see fit. So yeah, you can let me know now, or you can go ahead and follow up with me over email, and I'll make sure that you get the access that you're looking for.
Yeah, could you give me the access to HubSpot, whatever functionality you've got the commissioners access to?
Perfect, you got it. I just sent it.
Oh, perfect. And second, I think this would be a fabulous way to build our asset inventory, because as we notify you about businesses, it's a good thing to always give you feedback on what the problems are, but also if they mention to us what the size of the business is or what the clientele looks like, for you to have that information.
Precisely.
Okay. Right. So.
Right.
So, and I too would like that access, Trevin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd just like to say hello to Commissioner Coggin. Hi, Sharon. I don't know.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Sharon. You're part of the Monterey Rotary, which I'm a member of too. So welcome.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yes.
Dominique, right. Would this be a good time to for us to bring Sharon in as commissioner? Can we swear her in without having a quorum ourselves?
I can swear her in offline.
All right.
Versus during the meeting, just because it's not an agendized item.
Oh, that's
and
true.
I know that there's no action technically on
Correct.
that. But I think
Okay.
at least keeping that piece of protocol might be good.
That's how we'll do that. Great. The second item on the agenda is approval of a letter of support for Uplift Central Coast. I suppose we can discuss the letter. There's no way we can act on it without a quorum. What's the preference of the commissioners? Should we postpone the discussion entirely or begin?
Since we'll need quorum, I think we should postpone the item to when we have quorum, because then we can vote on it and have the input of all the commissioners present.
All right. Then the next agenda item is for report from commissioners.
Chair, if I could interrupt.
Trevin.
Sorry about that. While we would always want to focus on including as much of the commission as possible on these matters, The economic development grant is due this week.
And I have no problem with that because I know what you're doing here. So but I certainly can recommend, but we don't have quorum. So if you'd like to discuss it, I'm happy to listen.
Let's do that so that you have at least the opinion of those of us who are here.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in that case, what we have here is a 6-county regional coalition of the Central Coast, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, Ventura, and Monterey, Santa Cruz, and San Benito. And what we're looking to do here is activate the Build Back Better Regional Challenge and compete in it and focus our industry on space and aeronautics. Right now, the details of what we would do are pretty sparse. It's an outline, but what we want to do is compete in the Build Back Better Challenge. Phase 1 applications are due this week, and those are just outlines of what we want to accomplish. And so all we're looking at is doing infrastructure improvements and marketing for supporting our aerospace industries. And so we would pitch that to the EDA, the Economic Development Administration. And then if we win in that first phase, then they would provide our coalition up to $500,000 to put together a grant application. So right now we're just kind of pitching the idea. And then if we're successful, we'll receive some funds to put together the real package. So that's the goal right now. Right now, the city's been asked to support the effort. And this is a great effort. I think in our special meeting last Thursday, we mentioned wanting to support light manufacturing. And so this would definitely fall into that bucket. And it would definitely help us bring jobs and help develop the supply chains necessary to support companies like Jovi. And there's another company, I forget what it's called. They do the vertical takeoffs. But that is what this letter is for. And the process would be that we would, I was hoping to get the full commission's approval for it, but we do have the authorization for the city manager to sign off on it. So that would be the process, is to have the city manager sign off and then include it in the phase 1 application with Monterey Bay Economic Partnership.
So you have Chris Bly and involved in IIED involved in this?
I believe so. I believe all of the college is involved, is my understanding.
And Chris Bly of the drones group, right?
Yeah, with DART, yes.
With DART, excellent. And Melinda Matson is supportive. Have you talked to Melinda?
I personally have not. I think Monterey Bay Economic Partnership has. I spoke to GoBiz,
okay,
just in regards to Seaside grant potentials, and GoBiz might help us with some grants. But this one's this is well above city level. So this is, with the whole central coast of California. So I haven't been doing these. I have not been charged with the staff work to get a hold of the EDA on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is just the city's support for it, is what I'm presuming you're saying.
That's correct. And there's no commitments in here for financial resources or otherwise. It's just saying we support this idea. Aeronautics would be great for our community.
That's terrific. I quite see the importance of this. This is very pivotal for our EDA, for getting an EDA grant once you've become a part of this larger coalition. So I think this will be really important for the city of Seaside. So my personal view is that the city of Seaside should be taking the lead in supporting such initiatives. So thank you, Trevin, for taking this forward.
Trevin, I support the letter too. I especially like the way the letter positions Seaside among the cities of the Central Coast, mentioning both the way we're overcoming the Fort Ord experience and the way we're positioned to recover from that. It expressed very well our, if not unique, certainly our unusual position.
Thank you.
Sharon, was there anything you wanted to say about it?
No,
Did you see it?
I'm in total agreement with what you both said. I think the letter's done very well, and I'm in agreement with that going forward, that we should be doing this, and the letter is written very, very well.
I hear 3 votes of support, which isn't enough for us to approve it. But it may give you something to go forward with, Trevin.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate your votes of confidence. I'll proceed in getting this on the desk of the city manager, and we will have it signed for the grant application by end of day tomorrow.
That's what we
Trevin, you mentioned GoBiz. Are you also trying to do something separately with GoBiz in Sacramento?
Not like this. So not as a regional collaboration, but they have reached out. They're hiring a Central Coast director that will help cities connect with all of the state's efforts with anything. So to kind of be a closer liaison for cities and EDOs in the area. But they've also offered assistance to all the cities on what to consider with these grants. So they realize that, hey, if more cities in California get this grant money, then that is advantageous to us as a state, and helping our cities be competitive versus states next door to us. So that is why we've reached out to GoBiz, because they offered their support. So going forward, if there's different grants that we have, we're going to be leveraging the resources they make available to make sure we have a competitive application.
Excellent.
Right. And we have some real friends in GoBiz who would be very understanding of the city of Seaside in particular, because of the work at MBEP and the connection of them to MBEP. So I think that's something we could discuss at a future meeting as to how to reach out, given the amount of funds that are being made available because of what happened in the pandemic and the post-pandemic situation.
Right.
Great. Thank you very much for following up on that too.
My pleasure.
Now, this is the point in the agenda when we do reports from commissioners. I have 2. I was able to arrange a visitation to Hello Desk in Monterey last week, and Joy and Trevin and I visited. This is an on-demand workspaces facility that allows rental by the hour or by the day or for longer periods of office space, of meeting space. And they're particularly well positioned because they have coffee at all times and because they have bandwidth that will accommodate whoever is there. And so it was a pleasant conference meeting, and we learned in the course of it that they are on the verge of expanding to open another office in Pacific Grove, and they're considering expanding into Monterey. And the discussion we had at that time, I think, furthered the interest in Monterey. Do you have anything to add, Trevin?
Seaside and expanding.
I said Monterey, Seaside, yeah. I'm sorry.
We visited them in Monterey, but they realized that Seaside's obviously the more attractive location for them. So
Trevin, do you have possible sites? I know the group well, and the shared workspaces are going to be the future. So do you have some sites in mind? Seaside creates where you are right now. I can see you're in that building. So what are the kinds of places you have that you might suggest to them?
Sure. Well, there's a number of vacancies on Broadway that we're considering. And so just to try and help keep the deal confidential until it's inked, you know, we're looking at Broadway. That's there's a lot of different spaces there that would be perfect, that would ideally suit them. And so we have a visitation coming up soon. And so hopefully that'll kind of seal the deal. We also, we think that we've done some of our homework and due diligence. And so we think we can help provide some seed funding in some way. So we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's and trying to put together a package for them using some of our economic recovery money. So more to come on that in the near future.
Terrific. And include me in your next visit. I'm sorry I was moving, but when you've got the next visitation coming, I'd love to be there.
Absolutely. We can only have, we can't reach more than 2 members
Yes.
for the Brown Act. So we can kind of help, we can try and coordinate. If we wanted to agendize it, we could have all the commissioners if that's something that's of interest.
Okay.
Or we can simply pass it around and it becomes your turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that might be the way to go. Or agendize it, whatever.
Either
But
way.
this is a good move. This is the future, and I'm glad you've got Seaside as the next place they're expanding to, because they've already got an office in Morgan Hill, as you all know. So it's just a private office at this point that you can rent, not quite the the 3-tier structure they have in Monterey, but
Right.
but that's the way moving forward. So good, excellent. Thank you, Alan, for putting it on as an item today.
I was astonished and pleased when I saw that it was already here. And I thought, well, the first thing is to offer this to Seaside businesses so that they know it's here. I didn't know it was here. So its very presence would be the first thing. And I'm hoping it'll be in the next newsletter that this is possible. And then as we are able to announce expansion into Seaside, we'll do that too, of course.
Where
You know,
is the
but-
one in Monterey?
It's on Webster Street.
Oh, okay.
It's a great location, actually.
Well, it's upstairs in a building on Webster Street. We're hoping to improve on that.
Thanks.
Actually, the idea comes out of CSU MB. Brad Barbeau is behind the original. We made a lot of efforts to get a space started, and then Brad was able to get the founder, and he is also an investor in the space. So this is something that started, as you know, in the region in Santa Cruz with Next Space, which was very successful at that time, about 6 years ago. So it's excellent that we are getting it in Seaside at last.
Mhm.
We had one in the Boston area, oh gosh, maybe 25 years ago,
Right.
when I was in the market for that kind of space, but it was expensive and I never did actually use it.
Very good. Thank you.
So that was good. The next item we have on the agenda is Monterey Bay Jazz, Blues, and American Music Technology Center and Jobs Creation. Shem, what have you got to tell us now?
All right. Could I share my screen, Chair Groves?
Of course. I don't know how to do it, though. Trevin or
No, I can do it.
will have to. Oh, okay.
I think I have permission to do it. So let me just get to. So here we go. You can see my screen, I presume.
Yes.
Yes. So as background, I'd like to say this is an item that comes from an experience that took place in 2015, an attempt to bring a jazz and other music technology center to Monterey. This was an idea that I had when I came to the region, and I put together a nonprofit called the Monterey International Jazz and music experience at that time. And we are going to revive it. That's why I'm trying to mention this. We almost succeeded, but because of the non-endorsement of a very key figure in Monterey, we didn't move ahead. So the basic idea is to bring jobs in line with the endowment of Monterey and the Monterey Bay region. And all of you know that music has been a very important part of that. So if I could just hold on a second, just a second, yeah. I'm trying to move it forward and it's showing nothing, which is kind of interesting. So I guess I will have to show it to you in.
There we go.
So I'll show it to you by clicking on each slide.
That's fine.
Okay, so we're all aware of this past history of the Monterey Bay region, particularly the city of Monterey. As you know, it is linked to a very important set of festivals, the longest running jazz festival in the world. Actually, Newport Jazz is older, but it stopped for 2 years. And so for the longest running festival, the Monterey Jazz Festival is the oldest, even though Newport is just a few years older, not much older. And then, of course, we are aware of the 1963 Monterey Folk Festival, where Joan Baez and Bob Dylan played, and the 1967 Monterey International Pop Festival, where Jimi Hendrix, who had also been posted at Fort Ord, burned his guitar. And of course, the 27-year-long, with now an interruption, Monterey Blues Festival. So to capitalize on that history, what was done was to create, and there's Joan Baez and Bob Dylan performing at the 1963 festival. So the vision at that time, and this is completely nonprofit, all right? So it is to create jobs and to support art, music, and those things that are valuable and have been the heritage of this region going back to the 1800s. So the vision was to combine music and technology into one experience unlike any other through an innovative and state-of-the-art analog and digital center for blues, jazz, and rock. And this was a performing arts, really, center. And the goal was the preservation. As you know, jazz is just less than 1% of the music market, but the fundamental, the keystone of blues, rock and roll, and all other kinds of music in America. So this was to create a continuously operating performance center and exhibit here. And so here's the kind of pictures we had in mind, the kind of space, films and videos of great performers at the touch of a button, great musicians playing throughout the year, instead of just during the jazz festival, which is, as you know, just went by, and use technology for people to learn how to use music, to learn music, to play with interactive gadgets, learn to play the guitar by the frets lighting up, learn to drum through technology, holographic Monterey Jazz Festival, big band, use virtual reality, that kind of thing. And so here's the virtual reality piece, and kid learning how the future of music and actually learning to play. And of course, a giant IMAX type digital screen with the projecting the live recordings of blues, jazz, and all the jazz greats. There would also be a performance hall, Sky Church of Music, if you want to call it, which would create, have big band playoffs in the high schools. The goal was to educate and become an education center, rather like the Monterey Bay Aquarium has become an educational center for the environment. This is on a different part. So the original plan was to put it near Fisherman's Wharf and and create an international Blues and Jazz Hall of Fame. As you know, the Blues and Jazz Hall of Fame is in Kansas City because of Bird and Count Basie. But the fact is that this would be an international music hall of fame. That was the thinking. And the original idea was to put it on Alvarado Street near the Golden State Theater. And also, so that was sort of the original idea. And in order to give you a feel, so let me just stop share for a moment, start share, and then get back to something that, hold on a second, if I can find it. I believe, no, that's not it. Just a second, let me try again. Let's see. No, that's not it. Let's see.
Take your time, sure.
I think this is it. Okay. So if I could just look, and I'll walk you through the 5 sites. We had Paul Allen, the founder of Microsoft, who with a colleague of mine and with the nonprofit we set up, we got interested in investing in Monterey. So he flew down, they sent down a team. As you know, he passed away 3 years ago. He owned the EMP Music Center that's a $240 million Frank Gehry building just below the Space Needle in Seattle, which is where Microsoft was founded. So we got him interested, and he sent 2 teams, and we had 5 sites. And if you remember, Eric Burden and the Animals and the House of the Rising Sun, this is a quote from them. The people came and listened. Some of them came and played. Others gave flowers away. Yes, they did, down in Monterey, if you remember the Animals from your youthful days, and House of the Rising Sun, especially their big hit. So here were the sites, okay? Custom House Plaza was the original site where the Stanton Center, that now is the Daly Museum. It's too small. It's only 15,000 square feet. So it's too small for this purpose. So we looked at the Heritage Harbor Complex, which is owned by Julie Packard, and which is underused. And that was actually a preferred site for Paul Allen and his group because it has 68,000 square feet. I'm just going through to indicate the kind of size. And you know that site, that disputed site between El Torito's and the Chat House, that was a site, it's just come out of litigation. So I met Ted Ballesteri. He told me last week that it's just come out of litigation. But that was another piece that the group from Seattle really liked. Of course, the Trinity Christian High School site on 601 East Franklin Street. And then there were 2 other sites, the Coast Guard Station, which at that time they were going to give up. And of course, the Monterey Museum of Art, too small and with no views of the ocean. And if you look at the size of the market, the addressable market, it is about 10 million people within a 100-mile radius and about 14 million people within a 150-mile radius. So it's really attractive. And if you look at some of the top attractions, the Monterey Bay Aquarium, Monterey Bay is the most frequently visited town on the West Coast. It has about 5.8 million visitors in 2015. The Laguna Seca Raceway, AT&T Pro-Am, and the Monterey Bay Aquarium has the largest numbers of visitors among any facility in the United States that's like a museum, except the Smithsonian. All right. So it's
Wow.
an impressive place. And Cannery Road, this was provided by Ted Ballesteri. He put a camera on Prescott and looked at the number of people who passed, and they came up with 5.8 million. MCCBB says 4.2 to Monterey, while there's a 2015 study by Dave Runyon and Associates, which says 6.2 million. So very, very big revenue possibilities. And so if you look at Cannery Row itself, it has only 770 rooms, but Monterey has 12,000 rooms, this region. So, and more are coming up. And if you look at how the visitors are, that's the pattern of visits during the month, during the year.
During the year.
And if you look at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, it's one of the most visited sites. So I won't bore you with this, but here's the potential. At a $35 average admission fee for 1 million visitors, you obviously make 35 million, right? But depending on how many people visit, we had worked out, what the cost. We actually have a feasibility study that I could bring to you. But why I'm bringing this to the commission is because of that site, that wonderful new site that's going to come on the south of General Jim Moore near Eucalyptus. So if we are reviving the reach out for this, we've got some pretty amazing people involved. And we believe that Herb Albert of Tijuana Taxi fame will be someone. He has 273 million left in his endowment fund, which he would like to invest. And we think that such a facility could be brought to the Monterey Bay region. I want to bring it to you, Trevin, and the commissioners and Dominique, to tell you that if this is going to move forward, we would certainly like to bring the jobs. There are about 400 direct jobs and about 1,200 indirect jobs involved should this come through. And it's a very educational music heritage. That is the heritage, if you look at, of the region and the city of Seaside, that creative ability. So I just wanted to stop there and alert you to this possibility and get your feedback on what you think Seaside's interest in something like this would be. Thank you very much for your time.
Wow. Before we react directly to that, I'd like to add that Seaside is going to be hosting a charrette starting on the 24th of October. That's a Sunday at 1 p.m. at Martin Luther King Middle School to explore how we as people of Seaside would like to see that exact property to the east of General Jim Moore along both sides of Eucalyptus Road, how we would like to see that developed. This would be the most direct time for us to propose something like this.
That's correct.
And it would be entirely appropriate for the Sea Jobs Commission to promote something that brings jobs to the region.
Trevin, what's your take on how this could be brought to the city's notice? I've talked to the mayor. The mayor is very interested, of course, but it needs to go through process. The nonprofit would be bringing this as an opportunity to all the cities. Obviously, the city of Monterey, the previous city manager was a real supporter. That's how we got it there. The current city manager is also very interested, but I would think that the city of Seaside might be very interested in this.
Yes, commissioners, I see from your presentation that this has a lot of value that it could add to the community. I think that's really clear. What I'm thinking about are the logistics. So how would we secure a site? And if it was a city-owned site, how would we comply with the Housing Crisis Act, where the Surplus Lands Act bill? So that would all come out through a RFP process. So once we do the Seaside charrettes, And I only say this because you're a commissioner. I'm not trying to scare their interest away. So if I was talking to them directly, I'd maybe have a bit more of a positive spin to this. But just so you are aware of the path forward, there is the Seaside East charrettes, and that's going to create a public mandate of what the public would like to see built on those lands, and it'll inform the specific plan, which means the zoning and what we do as a city with police powers for zoning. Once that's established, then we can proceed. If the city does not want to do a enhanced feasibility study for the site for specific public works projects, we could proceed with a request for proposal for real estate disposition and development. And it would be in that process where we are putting up all 1,600 acres or some portion of those acres for purchase by a private entity or public entity. And it's at that time that housing developers have the right to bid on that property and prioritize it for housing, for affordable housing. And so Gilroy's the most recent example of this is you could look at Gilroy. They just posted their RFP for the reserve lands that they have behind Gilroy Gardens. And I can pull and provide those staff reports if you want to see more about the process for the Surplus Lands Act. But that's something that, staff would be more than happy to work with all the developers and make sure that they're all given the same amount of information about the process and make sure that they're all playing on a level playing field according to our purchasing policies.
Absolutely. So I would be interested in getting whatever information you're going to make public with regard to the 16-acre site and the purchase of a private parcel from there. So that then I can take that as definite, opportunity in Seaside to the group, and as we look for a site. Now, there is a conversation about a performance center that is going on both at the university and in the city of Marina. Is the city of Seaside involved in that conversation?
Haven't seen anything yet about the conversation involving the city of Marina. So maybe we're having our own separate conversation, and maybe we should think about that.
Yep, I agree, Commissioner. Yeah. Okay, so I guess the next step is for us to get knowledgeable about the site, the 1,600-acre site, and what is being planned. And Trevin, what's the best source for us to keep track of the release of information there?
You're definitely added as technical advisors for the project as the CJOBS commissioner. And so our consultant would have reached out to you to schedule an interview. And if that hasn't happened, please let me know and I'll make sure that it happens. And the interviews would be conducted during the week of the charrette. So that's the last week in October.
Now, what is the name of the individual?
It's Matt with DPZ.
Sorry, say that again.
It's Matthew Lambert.
Lambert, okay.
He's with DPZ.
Okay, and do we expect an email from him? What are we expecting to, how does he contact us?
It should have, yeah, my understanding, and I'm not the one that is organizing the charrettes. I'm not the staff member liaison for that, but my understanding was that we supplied them with the contact information for the commissioners so that they could go and schedule those interviews.
Okay.
So if that hasn't
happened yet.
It has happened?
It has not happened yet.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
All right. Okay. And Trevin, should we let you know if it doesn't happen in the next this week?
Well, now that I am aware of it, I'd say give it 2 business days to let Matthew have some time to accept the request and figure out what happened. But yeah, if you do not hear with him, I'd say by the end of the week, then definitely let me know. But I will be reaching out to him to make sure that we can confirm those interviews.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for doing that. Is there any plan before the charrette that we should be looking at, which identifies the set of projects that are being considered?
Right now, no, not at this moment. There's nothing that's being considered. It's vacant land. And so the community is being invited to advise what should be there. So
Okay.
what kind of densities would the city like to see? What kind of form does the city want to see? Those types of questions. And then are there specific uses that individuals think that the city would benefit from as a community as a whole? So should it be in some space for industrial? Should there be space for heavy industrial? What kind of businesses could be attracted there? Or maybe an office park, campus type layout. Do we think that we would benefit if we could attract, the next Apple or something like that and provide a campus? So, or residential or retail or any of the other number of uses that could go there. So that's what we'll be engaging, or a consultant will be engaging with the community about, is what would they like to see in terms of shape, and then see and have there in terms of use.
Excellent. So
Are
we
we-
will definitely, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The charrette is at what time on the 24th?
The first
Yeah.
meeting is Sunday afternoon, starting at 1.
Yeah.
And it's scheduled to go till 4.
Okay.
There are 2 subsequent meetings. I think it's Wednesday and Friday at the Oldemeyer Center in the afternoon. The second of those is to provide response from the team about what they have found during the week.
Mhm.
I would post them in the chat, but I don't see that we have a chat for this Zoom meeting. So I'm just going to read them. We have Friday, October 22nd. We'll have a small technical meetings in-house with technical stakeholders. Then on Sunday, October 24th, we kick off the community vision meeting, and it's from 1 to 4 p.m. at MLK School. And I think that might still be tentative, but that's the location that's been picked. And then on Wednesday, October 27th, we have a community meeting at the Oldemeyer Center at 5 p.m. And I would expect that one on Wednesday to be pretty big. And then we have another one on Friday, October 29th, that will have another presentation and report and recommendations for the community to speak against. And so that's at Oldemeyer at 5 p.m. also.
Okay.
So
Great.
I can certainly send out, we have flyers that we've been distributing with the community, and I can certainly send those out again.
Thank you.
Kevin, is it my understanding that the entire property will be under consideration, or just a portion of it for development now?
Let me go ahead and share my screen, because I have a map, and that I should have just done that instead of thinking about reading it off or texting it. Okay, so here's the flyer that we have, and the dates are right there. I should have just done this. But here's the map. And so this is the study area, and this is what we're
Here's
thinking.
all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is, you're looking at, on a parallel is General Jim Moore, and that's horizontally across the map there. And then that's everything east of General Jim Moore.
And is that right in the middle? Is that eucalyptus, the road?
Eucalyptus is to the left. It
Or the
runs
big
off
one?
runs off diagonally.
So that's the big one on the left. Okay,
It's-
got it.
Yeah.
This is, this one right here is Broadway.
Yeah,
So this one right here.
yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. Can you send this to us?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to.
Thank you. Any other thoughts, comments on the presentation? I'd be happy to move forward.
It's very exciting, Shem.
All right.
Could I get a copy of your slideshow this afternoon?
Sure, I could send you both slideshows.
Yeah.
I'll send it to I'll send it to Trevin and
Actually, could be part of
Dominic
the record.
also,
Yeah.
also so that they can send it to anybody else who might be interested. Okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy to get those too.
Let's make that part of the record if that's possible to do, Trevin. Next, we have reports by staff, and I noticed we're running past 5 o'clock. So the main item on there is what's up for the business newsletter.
Sure.
And you maybe just run down that quickly.
Yeah, I have, I actually have because we did the newsletter for the facade program, we want to focus on making sure we process those applications. So what I'm actually planning is that we're going to push out the newsletter by a week and do it on the 22nd. And we'll cover the Hello Desk. We'll try and do what's called I'm going to talk to Avnish and try and do what's called a painted door approach. So for instance, on his website, he'll have a button that says, Hello Desk in Seaside. And he'll just track website visits and how many people click on that. And that'll tell us how much interest there is in having a Seaside location. So that'll give us some preliminary data to hopefully kind of keep pushing that. So we'll see if he's open to that or not. And then we have Learn to Trade is a free event that we may put in the newsletter. We have our sales tax update. So we'll have numbers from Q2 and they are pretty shocking. And then we have Outsmart Disaster. And so it is theoretically it's fire season, even though in California now it's always fire season, but we do have Outsmart Disaster, which is kind of something that's been on the back burner. We'll get it into this newsletter, and then all the businesses will have a free access to how to make a disaster plan. And then we have a reminder for Flip Seaside. And that, again, that's October 22nd. We'll also have, we have the free tourism marketing training by Monterey County Convention and Visitors Bureau. They're going to offer that to Seaside residents for free. And so that we're really excited about that partnership. And so they're going to announce that in October 22nd, and it's going to be a free event in November.
Is there a way you can mention the charrette as well?
Yes, absolutely. We'll do that. We'll put the flyer in there.
Going to be a full newsletter.
Yes. Whoops.
Excellent. Well, given the hour, and unless there are other things, I guess we could.
Could
close.
I just raise one issue? It's not on the agenda, but I want to mention it. Can I make sure that we are able to move forward on the plan? And we have the possibility, I think we need a discussion among the commissioners before bringing in the consultant we had talked about one meeting ago. Is that correct, Chair?
I think it is. How do we proceed with that? Trevin, you've been sort of holding on that one.
Sure, Chair. Happy to comment on that. I think you're welcome to work with the city clerk to schedule a date and polling the commissioners on a date that works best. Yep. Commissioner Kamath has the permission to proceed. We do have budget for it if that's needed, and yes. So you're ready to go. You can take this and drive, and we have your back.
All right, thank you. I'll do just that, because then we can do it quickly and get it done so that you can move forward, Trevin, with the outcome.
Sounds good.
All right.
With that, I declare the meeting closed.